Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner. And we're bringing you the day after reckoning, where we break down the Washington Commanders game the day before. And it was something. Washington loses at home to the New York Giants. And this is a big one when it comes to the playoff race. They lost 20-12. They had a chance there, Stoner. It looked like this was going to go back into overtime at 2020. Did not happen. Of course, we are sponsored. Before we get into the action, we're sponsored by Pacers Running. For every run, make sure you check them out either in store in the 5 locations they have in the DMV, or you can check them out online. We're sponsored by the Sky Bar, which is where our man Trev is right now. They're in Lexington, Virginia. Check them out. I'm told this is going to be his last Monday of the year that they are open, as it is winter break there for the college. So make sure you check them out when you can. Mention Ref the District to get yourself a free drink. And at manscaped.com, enter the code REF, R-E-F, for 20% off, free shipping as well. So make sure you go there, use that discount. That's your money. You don't even have to, you don't give us money. You just save yourself money. And that's how that one works out for you. Now that I got the sponsorship messages out of the way, Stoner.
Yeah, man.
We had the opportunity, before we even get too much into the game aspect of it.
Yeah.
We had the pleasure, if you want to call it that. No, it was a good time. It was a good time. Good company to go. We were in the red zone lot, and then we were in a suite for the game. You want to tell us about your experiences with that there at FedEx Field? It's been a hot minute since you've joined us, right?
Yeah, it's been probably a year and a half since last time I've been to FedEx to a game. And of course, as you said, we went to the suite. So that was really nice. And we're going to have some videos on our page later on showing a little bit of the suite life. And it really is an amazing situation to walk in there. The view is incredible. It's, like I said, it's a suite life. So the seats are just cushy, and it's angled real nicely. So you can see no matter what seat you're sitting in there. You've got free food, you've got free regular drinks. And so it's just, you have a waitress who comes by and takes care of you, all of that good stuff. Now I'm going to get into the stuff that I didn't much care for, but before that, it's great. I think it's a great value. I think the rumors, or not the rumors, but the narrative that FedEx is a dump and it's run down. It's really not. It's not as bad as we think. And I'm sure we were in a suite as compared to being just kind of in a regular seat, but we've been in the regular seats before, right? And it's not terrible. Okay. It's not modern. It's not great, okay, but it's not a dump. I just want to make that clear, especially if you're in the suites, of course. But it's just not as bad as people make it out to be. But we didn't get a World Cup game in 2026, so I don't know what's going on there. The nation's capital doesn't get a World Cup game, and people want to blame it on the stadium. I don't think it's the stadium. I think it's just pure politics. As we all know, World Cup officials are
they had no problem with politics this year, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's all about politics. That's probably why you didn't get a game here in DC when they're here 4 years from now. But let me say a few things about the stadium, or about our experience. First of all, when you're going up to the suites, it's not easy to get there. Okay, they only have a couple of elevators, and there's a lot of suites, so there's a lot of people. It's not like a suite where there's like 6 or 7 people. Okay, the suite fits about 25 maybe, as far as seats are concerned. It's like 5, 6,
I think. Yeah, something like that.
So it's somewhere about 25 seats, and that's one suite. And there's 100 suites or so just on one end, and there's like 2 elevators to get up there, or you can take the stairs 5 floors up. Nobody wants to do that, right? So when you're leaving, especially at the end of the game, and when you got a close game and everyone's leaving at the same time, you've got a long line for the elevators, or you're going to go down the stairs. And by the way, the level below is going through the stairs, the level below that's going through the stairs, and so it just bottlenecks in these tiny stairs. Okay, I get it. Sweet people problems, right? This is like not that.
I was about to say this is definitely first world problems.
Yeah, first world problems, exactly. But also another thing that I kind of had a problem with was the speakers didn't work in our suite. So you couldn't hear what the referee was saying. You couldn't hear the announcements from the stadium, and none of the speakers worked. Okay, that's a minor deal, but still, it's a little bit annoying.
It is annoying, and even in our normal seats for EP and I, that's been an issue. You can't,
has it?
Yeah, you can't hear anything. It's not too bad for me because I have that can set off some migraines for me. So, but when you're up in the suite and you can't necessarily see the action as clearly, I mean, we had good seats, not to say we didn't, but
yeah,
you're a little bit further away, and some of the details might not be as strong.
Yeah.
So,
and then the last thing I will just say is that the alcohol prices are outrageous. And you understand that going in. You're at a sporting event. They've got you cornered so that there's nowhere else to get alcohol, although you guys made the trip across town or whatever, across the other end of the stadium to get 2 drinks, and you brought me one back, and I appreciated that.
Shh, that might not be kosher.
I didn't say where you went, or where you got it from. But you know, we had those little cups, not a red Solo cup, just those little plastic clear cups. Okay, for a rum and coke was $12.50, and 1 can of beer, which it was the skinny beer. It wasn't even as big as this. It was a skinny beer, but not like a tall boy. I mean, it was probably a 12 ounce. Okay, and that was $10. Okay, that's a little much. But they add a service charge just because they can. Okay, so I guess that's their way of saying our prices are low, but hey, here's a service charge, right? And they add automatic 25% gratuity. Okay, that's insane. I'm just saying that's outrageous to add a 25% automatic gratuity. You can't do anything about it. That's a little much. That's the only problems I had. And before we go any further, I did want to say a big shout out to EP for doing all the behind the scenes work, and, you know, throwing in the cash, as much cash as she put in for that. Really appreciate all the work that she did for that. And because it was an awesome spot. We had a great time.
Yeah, you're kind of stealing a little bit of my thunder there, because I was going to jump in and be like, hey, I was hoping you were going to end on a positive note, and then I could stay with the positive.
Yeah.
But that's a great positive note to end this on, because honestly, the experience was amazing, and it's all because of EP doing a stand-up job, not just as my wife, but our legit executive producer, make sure we're taken care of. She set up a huge tailgate thing. We had a couple tents. It was enclosed with the heater, so that way we can stay a little bit warm, because it was a very chilly day. You'll see probably in the video, but I'm going to spoil this part. We moved locations. We had originally set up in like the middle of the red zone lot. The wind was fierce, and so we just decided we were going to move to where there was less wind, and took full tents and everything up just across the lot. People were looking at us like we were crazy, but insane, it worked out because it was a much better location without the wind beating us down over there on the corner. The red zone lot in Hassel, we got hooked up with some beer fest tickets, so we got to go see the beer fest. That was pretty cool. Support some of the local breweries here in the area. So I thought that was a nice little thing there. Red zone lot was hopping. I like the extra space you get in the red zone lot, and you get out there a little hour early. It was a little further away from the stadium than I expected. But,
agreed. Yep.
I think you're doing that. You're giving up you're getting extra space, and that's kind of the switcheroo there. The suite was amazing. It was really nice. Again, great seats. We got to see, firsthand Terry McLaurin getting flagged for apparently not being on the line, and then we got to see Curtis Samuel absolutely be mugged. We were right behind,
below us.
Yeah, right behind this scene right here. For our audio listeners, I'm sharing number 39 here from the Giants hugging Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
In the end zone. We were like, if you look at that guy's shoulder, the Giants' shoulder. We're like right behind him. Obviously in the suite level, not on the thing, but we were right there.
Yeah.
And
we'll
great
get to
view
that.
to see. Yeah, great view to see that someone was getting mugged.
Yeah.
But it was a neat experience, and I'm glad that we were able to do it. So again, thanks EP for kind of shouldering the load on there and make sure that we all had a good time. So.
Yep. And I know you're going to mention also about our season of giving winner. Ethan was there, and you'll talk. I guess you'll talk a little bit about that. But I had to apologize to Ethan and his girlfriend because as soon as that last play ended, and they didn't throw a flag, and the Giants' offense was coming out, we were out of there. We turned around and
Ethan was also on his way out.
I forgot to say bye, and I forgot to say,
shout out to Ethan making the drive up with Elena there from Richmond. And then having to turn around after that game. I mean, it was brutal. I thankfully don't have as much of a drive coming from the Annapolis side, but just leaving the stadium after a loss, that feeling just sucks.
It was the worst.
It's just awful.
Yeah.
But no, we appreciate Ethan coming out, and I hope that he enjoyed the experience as well. Talking with him, it did. I wish we would have rearranged seats so that way we got to have him down. I just wish there was more for us to celebrate too.
I know.
Washington put up 12 points. They only had a few big plays. Like it was just, there wasn't a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. And then that's what we're going to be talking about here on the day after reckoning as we move away from kind of our experience at the stadium in the suite and into just how this game went. We got lots of people in the chat. John was here early sharing his thoughts. We got Daniel and Aaron Alcatone. Welcome back. Joshua, Mike Lee, Command D, Scott Turner must go. I've been defending Scott Turner quite a bit.
As have
I don't know that I can defend him this game.
I'm there with you. Well,
Doug's
you
in the house.
This game.
Yeah, the Doug's in this house. The OG's also here. EP in the chat. Hopefully she stuck around and heard all the nice things we had to say about her. We had some spam I had to block as well. Tall Stack 6161 here. We appreciate everyone. Michael in here. And this one hits really true to home. If you can score more than 12 points, you don't have to complain about one or two bad calls by the officials. And that's kind of where I'm at, Stoner, with this is just kind of giving you my kind of 2 sentences here for the game is we're holding ourselves back. We can't blame it on the refs.
Well, wait, what do you mean by that? We're holding ourselves back by blaming it on the refs?
No. So those are, if sum it up in 2 sentences, we're the ones holding ourselves back.
Okay. Gotcha.
And we can't blame it on the refs. Yes. Like it's easy to sit there, and I did share the Curtis Samuel bear hug picture, and absolutely that needs to get called, and absolutely that gives Washington a chance to tie it up. But you scored 12 points up to this point.
Right.
You put yourselves into this position. You were the ones who, were at the Tay and Todd had a wonderful tweet here. The Commanders reached the 34, the Giants 34, the 5, and the 1 yard line. 3 different drives, scored 0 points.
Right. And the 5 and the 1 were on their last 2 possessions.
Yeah. Obviously,
of the game.
One of those was the bear hug situation. Okay. Fine. But that's still 2 times where you are that close in and you come out with 0 points.
Right.
So you can't blame the refs for that. That's all on you.
Right.
You're the ones who gave up a sack, fumble, recovery for a touchdown. The defense, a lot of people were maligning the defense, even there at the stadium. But Stoner, the defense gave up 13 points.
Defense was fantastic. They had one bad drive.
I'm not going to go fantastic.
They had one drive.
Yeah. Okay. 1 drive and a 4th and 9. If you're a top 5 defense, you don't get you don't have a 4th and 9 completed against you.
Untrue. Blatantly untrue. The greatest defenses who have ever played on this planet have had games where they've given up a 4th and 9 and given up a 17 or 18 play drive before in one game. Okay, the greatest defenses in the world give up points. They give up
Yeah,
big
sure.
plays. They give up long drives. Okay. But it's the consistency of how they don't do it very often. And this defense doesn't do that very often.
Sure.
They did it one time in this game. And sure, they went right down and they scored after those 18 plays. And you don't want that to happen. But still, they were fantastic in this game. And they weren't terrible on that drive either. They just the Giants outplayed them on that one drive.
Yeah, one drive
out of 9 drives or whatever that the Giants had that game.
Yeah, I agree with Command D's. It's a B+ for the defense for me. Doug here, one drive when killing off the game, making it an 8-point lead. Not great defensive play. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not dogging the defense. I think that the defense played well. Again, they only allowed 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
Now, part of that was that long touchdown drive.
Mm-hmm.
But
sure.
For the most part, they did their work. They did their job. The offense continues to not do its job.
So B+ is not excellent?
It's good. I would maybe even say great, but
yes,
excellent. Like you're talking A+ is excellent.
Okay. All right.
Now we're getting very ticky-tacky into the words, which I can appreciate some of the notion, but no, they were good. I'm not going to complain about the defensive effort. I do think that drive, it was frustrating. The Giants come out trying to complete a 4th and 9. They take a timeout, gives them extra time to think about it, and said, nope, we're still going to go for this 4th and 9, and then made it look like it was nothing. It was like watching college ball out there where they go for 4th and 13 and make it.
So the rest of the game, to include that final drive that the Giants had, okay, when they were running the ball, when Saquon had those 3 straight run plays over 10 yards, right? And they went down and eventually kicked a 50-yard field goal, including that drive, okay? I'm only taking out the long drive in the first half that the Giants had, only subtracting that. The Giants had 9 drives for less than 200 yards of total offense. Now, you can't take that away. It counts. I understand all that. I'm just saying that's how well the defense played consistently throughout the game. They just had that one drive that they gave up. And that happens over the course of the game. Like I said, you go look at the 85 Bears. You go look at the 2000 Ravens. They have most of their games, they give up points. It's not like the greatest defenses in the world were shutting everybody out every week. So it's the consistency. Just like when we talk about this offense. Does this offense have the ability to make plays every now and then? Yes, but consistently, no, they can't do it. So it's just the opposite with the defense. So I just take a little bit of umbrage when people say that the defense was not good yesterday.
I didn't say it wasn't good. I said it wasn't excellent. You're right. Yeah, I said it wasn't excellent.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Now we kind of took my 2 lines and we kind of put them out there. What was your overall reaction to the game yesterday?
Okay, I'll say 2 things to the 2 lines like you had. First of all is that Washington absolutely blew their chance to take control of a playoff spot. They absolutely blew it. And now New York has exactly what Washington should have had, right? That control. They have the Giants have a dominant position.
I was about to say, because Washington still has control of their destiny.
Right.
Now, the schedule's a little bit harder than that.
Right.
And they don't have room for error. The Giants have some room for error. According to 538, the Giants have an 87% chance to make the playoffs now. That was supposed to be us.
Exactly. They basically need to win one more game the rest of the year, and they're in.
Which I do believe they can, right? That's their clinch is they can clinch this next week, and this would have again have been us. They clinch if they beat the Vikings.
Yep.
And get two of 3 of these teams losing: Detroit, Seattle, and Washington.
That's right.
I don't know I don't know Seattle's opponent or Detroit's, but I know Detroit
plays Carolina at home. Detroit has a simple schedule. They have like Carolina, Chicago, and so they have a very easy schedule. But listen, they're still not going 3-0. I'm just telling you right now. I said they weren't going 4-0. They're not going. They weren't going 5-0. They're not.
The thing is you might not have to
it.
now, right? You might not have to go 3-0.
Right. They don't.
If you're Detroit, because Washington lost, because Seattle has been looking rather, ugly. Oh, by the way, Seattle plays the Chiefs.
Oh, okay. Well, look, Detroit basically does have to go 3-0. They need to get to 10 wins because they have to leapfrog a couple teams, but they can get help along the way.
They're at 7-7 right now. They're really not that far behind.
Right. So the second part of my statement is, you already mentioned it, Washington still controls their own destiny. You win out, you're in. They're not going to win out. Okay. But they have the control right here. And all they have to do is grab it and take it and get into the playoffs. And you can say that this team is not good enough to beat anybody in the playoffs. I get that. But you just want to get there. That doesn't mean you just give up. Oh, we're not good enough to get in the playoffs, so let's just not try to get to the playoffs. No. Get in the dance, right? And see what happens. When we were 7-9 a few years ago with Taylor Heineke playing against Tampa in a wild card game at home, almost beat them. Not a wild card game. Tampa was a wild card. But it was a home game because you were a division champion. And you almost beat Tampa, who went on to win the Super Bowl. Get to the dance and anything can happen.
Chip in a chair, right? Chip in a chair.
That's all you need, man.
So
hey, good to see my buddy Brian Newby in here. Nice to see you, Brian.
The Yam is kind of, he's voicing an opinion. I've heard this quite a bit. Okay. This team doesn't deserve the playoffs after that stinker and the stinker of the week before. A lot of this fan base seems to feel like the season is over now.
Right.
Don't even make the playoffs at this point. Don't even try, because this loss shows that even if they do sneak into the playoffs, they're doomed from the start. You're kind of going the opposite direction. You're saying no, chip in a chair. You gotta play for the playoffs. I know we're not team tank. We're never desiring to tank.
Yeah.
But how much do the playoffs mean to you and to the Commanders?
The playoffs mean everything. Do you remember? Does everybody remember 2 years ago when they were 7-9 and in the playoffs and you almost beat Tampa and Heineke's running all over the place, and the atmosphere that created and the joy that it brought you? You just, no matter what, even when you're 7-9 and you get in the playoffs, great. You never know what can happen. You're always going to want to try. How many wild card teams have won the title? Tampa did it. The Giants did it, I believe, twice with Eli Manning. I believe they were wild card, first weekend players in both of their most recent championships. You just got to get there, man. You just got to fight and claw every single week. And none of this, we're not good enough to win a playoff game. We don't deserve to get in. Hell yeah, you deserve to get in. If you do better than the other teams, you deserve every bit of that playoff position. You absolutely deserve to get in if you earn your way in, regardless of your record. Tampa might get in this year with a losing record. Okay? They don't deserve it? Hell yeah, they deserve it. Are they probably going to lose first round? Probably, but you never know. You get in there and you see what happens.
Yeah, I want this team to be successful, and I want this team to win games, and so the playoffs do mean something. As we got Elian's take in here, the playoffs mean bragging rights, but honestly, without a Super Bowl appearance, it's worthless. I think there's some building blocks there, and I think that if you get this team experience, you hear this a lot more, probably more in basketball, I'd say. But if you have a young team, which Washington does have a relatively young team.
Absolutely.
If you get them playoff experience and then they're back in the playoffs next year, you're going to hear that. You're going to hear the fact oh, this is a team that's been to the playoffs before. They know what to expect because it is a different intensity. It is a different environment. And, so I think that there's value. You don't think, getting players like Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Jonathan Allen, Obviously we're going to lose probably Montez Sweat and Deron Payne. Getting those guys to the playoffs and unleashing them. Maybe that's exactly what a guy in a contract year wants, is a chance to show, hey, I'm in the playoffs. I'm supposed to be playing against the best, and I'm showing up. And so you can absolutely go on a tear. Look at the Giants in the Super Bowls they won. They were wild card entries, and they went on a tear. Now I'm not going to compare because their team is probably more complete than our team right now. There's a lot of
Hall
questions.
Of Fame quarterback. He's going to the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry.
He will. It's debatable whether or not he should, but he will go. That's fair. The problem is this team continues to have very obvious flaws. Even the defense, which we said performed well, like they gave up, not an insignificant number of rushing yards. So,
okay. I mean,
128.
Yeah.
At a 4.3 clip.
Yeah.
So not horrible.
The Giants were better. The Giants were better all around yesterday. They were better defensively. They were better offensively. Daniel Jones played better. Their game plan on offense and defense was better. Their game plan that they put together on offense is exactly what Washington should do. And I don't get why they try to be so cute. Although I have a theory / rant about Scott Turner that I want to get to later. Okay. But that's exactly what they should be doing. Daniel Jones went back and I started charting it. I ended up just doing the first half. Okay. Oh no, that was Taylor Heineke. Sorry. I did not chart Daniel Jones because I was too tired of watching the game. But I'll bet you if you go back and chart his dropbacks, I don't think he had more than 2 5-step drops.
Oh, they were dinking and dunking.
That's all he did.
All over. They were this was
and
the
it was
exact
perfect.
opposite of 2 weeks ago where they were launching it deep. This game, they were keeping everything in front of Washington and just moving down the field.
That's right.
A lot of their drives didn't amount to anything. They did have the one long drive, but they're keeping everything in front. There is as great and otherworldly as our defensive tackles can be. There is a significant flaw, I think, that we're seeing with this team, because I've seen it. I saw it yesterday with the Giants, and I saw in a couple games, these last 2 or 3 games that Washington had. Washington is getting beat up the middle with runs that are delayed, right? Just that slight delay. They let those tackles crush in, and then they give the ball to, in this case, a very good running back in Saquon Barkley, and he just has nothing but open field in front of him.
That's right. Because why? Because you're playing a 5-man front, 1 linebacker, and you got a safety in the box usually, or McCain is down there somewhere, or Forrest is down, but you have 1 linebacker that you're playing. If you watch the Sunday Night Football, when they did the starting lineup and the guys say who they are and where they're from, 5 D linemen, Jamin Davis, 5 DBs. That's exactly how the starting lineup was introduced. And that's what happens. Exactly what you said. You've got 5 D linemen. You let them come up, right? And you do that delayed handoff, and you've got Jamin Davis, and maybe, Bostic was in there a fair amount during that game, but you see how limited he is because you don't have Cole Holcomb in there, or Mayo is in there, maybe a play or 2 or whatever. But you're exactly right. They figured out a way to neutralize the strength of the Washington defense. It's not that they figured out a way to beat them at their own game. No, they just figured out a way to neutralize their strengths and make it a strength for your offense. And it worked. They had a better game plan, which is, infuriating because Washington had so much time to plan for this. And they did make adjustments. Like I said, Bostic was in there more in the second half. You saw him in there more. So they were doing much better in the second half until that last drive, right? That last drive when Barkley just ripped off 3 straight long runs. But then they shut him down after that. But, man, it's why can't – okay, I'm going to tell you right now. My theory as to why Scott Turner does not develop a proper game plan that everybody in the world Everybody on the planet knows what Washington's offensive weakness is, right? We can't pass protect. We don't have a quarterback with a strong arm, right? And we've got these great weapons, but we got to keep the quarterback from getting those weapons, right? So all Washington should be doing is running the ball down the field, right? If you remember on Washington's second drive that they had, okay, after the fumble, the sack fumble that Thibodeau got, right? Washington gets it. They go 7 yards to Brian Robinson up the middle. Beautiful. Awesome, right? Exactly what you want to do. You know what they did on second down? They ran a flea flicker, okay? It didn't work. I'm kind of okay with the flea flicker, to be honest, right? They ran a flea flicker, and it didn't connect on 2nd and 3. You know what they did on 3rd and 3? They ran Curtis Samuel up the middle. Curtis Samuel up the middle, okay, on 3rd and 3. What did he get? 2.5 yards, and they had to punt. You just had Brian Robinson, who had been running at a 7 yards per carry clip, and you decide not to give him the ball. You know why? Because Scott Turner is young, and and he's not going to be able to convince owners, general managers, that he's head coaching material if all he does is give Brian Robinson the ball 40 times a game and Washington wins 13-10. Okay? He's not going to be able to get a head coaching job. He has to show creativity. He has to show that he's just not a pound the rock up and down the field, even though that's the key to Washington winning the game. Quick passes, B-Rob left, B-Rob right, Gibson when B-Rob's tired, maybe some Jonathan Williams if you have to or whatever. That's how Washington can win. And he just won't do it because he won't get a head coaching job that way. So that's my theory.
Can you sum up what you think the Washington offense needs to do in 4 words?
They just need to run the damn ball. It's crazy because that's their identity. Is it not, Nathan? That's Washington's identity.
And they were successful. And this is what was frustrating to me. You mentioned, and we see it in the chat here as well from Commandees, Brian Robinson ran at a 7.4 yard clip. Heineke had a couple, 3 scrambles for 33 yards. Antonio Gibson, 5 for 21. Like, I mean, the running game was there. De'Ami Brown got involved with with like a little jet sweep action, 1 for 15. Curtis Samuel was the only one who was not having a good day rushing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't hate the 5 attempts that he got. You do have to mix it up on occasionally. You just have to know when to mix them up.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson having 12 carries is criminal when he has 89 yards. You have to keep feeding him. And this is where I'm going to disagree here in the comments section. Let me see if I can figure it out here. That's from Elian here. You can't run if you're 2 scores. If you're down 2 scores, you can't.
Absolutely, you can.
You were 14-3 at half. You absolutely still have the time to run the ball. And that opening 100%. Drive is something that the opening half drive where they did score was it mixed it up. Taylor Heineke passed short left to Terry McLaurin, and he passes again to Terry McLaurin. 2 big plays there, 18 yards, 13 yards. Then that De'Ami Brown run for 15 yards. Brian Robinson left tackles 2 yards, but there's a penalty on Logan Thomas. You move it back. No play.
They overcame that though, right?
Yep, because Heineke passed short right to McLaurin for 20 yards, passed short left to Jahan Dotson 11 yards, and then a pass from Heineke. They passed that almost that entire time, gave Brian Robinson 1 rush that missed, and De'Ami Brown 1. But that entire drive took off 4 minutes. You could have taken more time off and gotten yourself into a 1-score game with more than a quarter and a half left. You would have had 2/3 of the third quarter and a full quarter to come back down 1 score, and your defense was doing its job. Now, they did give up a field goal on the next drive, but and then Washington had a 3-and-out, surprise after that. But the defense, again, 3-and-out after this, and then it gave a short field to Washington, where they managed only a field goal. But you absolutely can run. You can't run 2 scores down if you only have the fourth quarter. Okay. And then you have to kind of pick and choose when you're doing those runs.
Yeah.
But going into the second half down 14-3, you had time to still run the ball with Brian Robinson.
That's
especially when he's giving you 7 yards a carry.
Yeah,
you don't move away from your strength.
You got the 3 and out on the first possession of the second half. You got the Giants on a 3 and out. You get the ball back. You go right down the field and you score a touchdown to get within 14-9. We can talk about the 2-point conversion and the horrific call there. But so you're at 14-9 and you've got basically the entire second half. Of course, you still run the ball when you get a chance. They had 8 run plays in the second half total. 8. Diami had 1. Curtis Samuel had 2. Heineke had 1. Gibson had 1. And B-Rob had 4. The entire second half, they had 8 runs. Now, when you were down 17-12 and 20-12 late in the fourth quarter, then, yeah, you're going to be throwing the ball pretty much every down. We get that. But at 14-3, at 14-9, you keep running the ball.
B-Rob had 4 carries for 34 yards in the second the second half.
8 yards a carry in the second half.
Yep. By the way, that 3 and out that they had after scoring the touchdown, Brian Robinson left or right guard for 7 yards. Then Taylor Heineke pass incomplete, and then that Samuel run up the middle for 2 yards, put it at 4th and 1. They punt the ball.
That was the 7 yards you said, or 8.
He ran for 7 yards, then it was an incomplete pass, and then it was Curtis Samuel.
The incomplete pass was the flea flicker that they tried to throw the bomb to Diami, which again I'm kind of okay with. But if you're going to come back on 3rd and 3, then you run B-Rob. I mean, but you know what? Scott Turner's, like I said, he's not going to get a head coaching job if he's just running Brian Robinson 30 to 40 times a game. He's not, because he's not showing innovation, creativity, using all your weapons in different ways and all this other stuff. That's the problem that I think Scott Turner is having, because we all know it. We all know what this offense needs to do, and it's just run the ball and short drop backs, not these 5-step drops with Heineke, not with this offensive line. You just can't do it.
Stop lining up in shotgun on 3rd and short to run the ball. I just the amount of Scott Turner is getting way too cute for himself.
He is.
How many times did we see an empty backfield?
Right. And on the sack fumble, it's 2nd and 18 at your own 10, and you got an empty backfield. You already know your 5 offensive linemen are not good enough. Okay. So now you're taking a guy who's already been dominating the first quarter, and you're leaving him out there, and you're going no help with anybody in the backfield. And he took a 5-step drop from the shotgun. That's a long developing play at your own goal line. It's insane. The sort of plays that he calls all the time. He gets too cute. He tries to be too creative sometimes. There's a fine line there. You want to be creative. You want to keep the defense where they're on their heels and they don't know what's coming. You guys got guys in motion left and right, and Samuel's getting the ball, and B-Rob's getting the ball, and Gibson's getting the ball, and all this other stuff. But there's also sometimes it's too much. Just get to the basics and run the guy who's running for 7.5 yards a carry.
Or even the next guy who's running more than 4 yards a carry. We're going to give a shout out here to the great Watubi.
Nice.
$5 donation, 2 weeks to prepare and come out so flat. Stoney, you actually had some stats on this bye week. Do you have those handy?
Yeah, right, I went and charted it because I was a little bit curious. And like I said on last Wednesday's show, that I found it curious. It feels like in the NBA, at least, okay, on the second games of back-to-back nights, the team that's on their back-to-back, usually they seem to play well. Because, I don't know, it's like when you don't have to think about it, when you don't have all this stuff going on in your head, you just go out and you just play, okay? It's the same sort of thing. These bye weeks seem to over-prepare guys, if you will. That's kind of the way I look at it. So I went back and I just looked at this year, 2022. I didn't want to spend hours on this research. But the teams are 17-14. coming off of bye weeks this year.
So
17 and
no
14.
noticeable advantage to have that extra time.
Right. You got one game. Green Bay was off last week, and they're playing tonight. Okay, so that's what will give you your 17 and 15 or 18 and 14, your 32 teams. Interestingly, a couple things in there. 3 of those games where 2 teams were both coming off a bye, so you're going to get a win
That's
and
a
a
wash,
loss anyway, right? It's a wash, so I could have gotten rid of those, but it's the same thing. And then somebody said, well, Andy Reid always has his teams prepared off a bye week. Well, this year, they had Tennessee off of their bye week, and they had to go to overtime, and they scored 20 points. Kansas City won 20-17 coming off their bye week against Tennessee. So I don't know about this whole, off week that teams are so greatly prepared and rested and all this other. The bye weeks, I think, are a little overrated in terms of teams being prepared.
Yeah, I responded back to this. I said bye weeks are more about getting healthy, more than prepping. And Washington did neither. They did not get healthy, and they did not prep. They just weren't prepared. And this, Command D's here. That's when the head coach is supposed to come in and make it happen here. Got a couple more shout outs to Great Watubi here. Got a $2 donation from him. Has Turner ever heard of slants? If he has, he sure doesn't show it.
Yeah.
And then a $5 donation.
Great Watubi all over it.
Love it and appreciate it. Super chat's always open, and we do appreciate those. Support the channel. All you have to do, though, is like it. If you don't want to throw money at us, we understand.
Yeah, hit that like
at the holidays, just hit that like button. That's all we ask. Great Watubi, no real pass rush. They were worried about containing Jones more than sacks. They got after Jones the first game, Stoner. I think that the Giants' game plan this time, though, was to make sure that didn't happen again.
Yeah,
and it was because we mentioned this in our Wednesday show leading up to this. These two teams are the same. They don't trust their quarterback to be the guy.
That's right.
You have to protect them. So their Giants' way of protecting Jones this time was to make a lot of those short passes, get the ball out of his hands, design some runs for him because he is a solid runner. Washington did the reverse and decided they were going to put Heineke out in islands on those empty backfields, on those 5-step drops, and he completed one. I mean, we were losing our dang minds on the 61-yard pass to Jahan Dotson. Yeah, that was a thing of beauty. I mean, the pass.
Well, the catch was a thing of beauty.
It was exciting, but yes, it was definitely more on Jahan Dotson being him than it is about Taylor Heineke's pass, because Taylor Heineke also missed a wide open touchdown to Curtis Samuel. If he throws that one ball to Curtis Samuel in stride, there's nobody stopping him.
Yeah,
we need to
talk about that more, Nathan. That was on the last drive, right? On the very last drive when they had one timeout in under 2 minutes. And it was like the second play of the drive, I believe. And you can look up the drive chart there. Maybe it was the third. I think it was the second play of the drive where he had a wide open Curtis Samuel. And if he had thrown it in rhythm and in the field of play, Curtis Samuel walks into the end zone. And instead, he has to make a fancy catch and tiptoe on the sideline just to make it a catch.
It was the first play of that drive. 1 minute, 47 left to go in the fourth quarter. Taylor Heineke passed deep right to Curtis Samuel, pushed out of bounds. New York Giants 30 at the New York Giants 30 for 20.
Yeah, that's right, because that came off the heels of Antonio Gibson's big kickoff return out to like the 43, right? And then the first play, it was a walk-in touchdown with a better pass. He didn't throw it in rhythm first. It was like his second read or whatever, but he should have seen it. And that's probably why the DB was up so far, because Heineke wasn't looking that way. But a good pass and he walks into the end zone. And that's the difference. Who knows if Wentz makes that play, or who knows if Sam Howell makes that play, but Taylor Heineke did not make that play. That much is a fact that you can't change. And that's a big, big deal. And there's a bunch of plays he didn't make, and that's just another one of them.
Just frustrating play from the offensive side of the ball, moving away from the run. Taylor Heineke's limitations. Taylor Heineke had 2 fumbles this game. He lucked out and did not have any interceptions this go around.
Should have had one again on that last drive.
He certainly could have. but did not. He ended up throwing 29 times, completed 17 of them for 249 yards and a touchdown, which was a good pass out there. Jahan Dotson, again, Jahan Dotson making defensive backs just look absolutely silly.
Can I address something real quick?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to address this from Sean, who was saying about that pass. Who cares? He completed it. Well, if he had thrown the ball better and he scores the touchdown, we'd be talking about something totally different today. They never scored a touchdown on that drive and never had a chance to get that 2-point conversion. So that's why you care if he didn't complete it better. So I just wanted to address that.
Yeah, Sean, I understand where you're coming from, Sean, in that
yeah.
it was still a big play, and it was still a completion, and in some regards, maybe you're trying to milk out more of the clock so that way you can you don't have the Giants trying to drive for a game-winning field goal, but in the end, putting points on the board is what matters, and Washington didn't do enough of that. Yeah. Shout out to our man Metaphor here with a $1.99 donation. He's hopping off the 4 train. You got to make that 11 bus. Safe travels wherever you're headed there, Meta. And,
I don't know if he's actually going anywhere. I think it's a metaphor. He's hopping off the Heineke train and going to the Wentz.
There we go. Completely missed that. Completely missed that.
Yeah. His name is Metaphor.
Yeah.
So anything he says is a metaphor.
There we go. Yeah. So he's hopping off the Heineke train. Heineke with those 2 fumbles, 2 critical ones. One that put points on the board for the Giants, and another one was while they were driving and unable to put up points again for Washington. I mean, this is the things that we're talking about. You get all the way down to the 5-yard line and fumble the ball.
Yeah. I mean, just a backbreaker. Now, also something to realize about that is we talked about how bad the referees are, and maybe we can get into a little bit of the referees. But the referees blew that one too, right? Because they called him down and he wasn't, obviously, because Daboll challenged it and they got the challenge and got the ball. Well, if they hadn't blown it dead, the Giants are running that back for a touchdown, and the game would have been over right then and there because they made a clear recovery, but they blew it. They were like, no. There was nobody that was going to stop. I don't know if it was Leonard Williams or the other Williams who was picked it up, and it would
have taken a great effort from one of our wide receivers to catch them from behind.
So the referees blew that one too. I thought they blew a lot of them. But like you said,
did Washington blow their chance there? Should they have quickly gone up and called another play?
I mean, it was 4th down, so they were bringing in the field goal unit. You know what I mean? So what are you going to do? Are you going to rush the field goal unit out? I mean, you can, but the Giants probably just call a timeout and then look at it and then say, if they see Washington, that means something's keying in their head. Why is Washington rushing their field goal unit out here? Let's call timeout and look at that because it's a crucial play. And it ended up being a hugely crucial play. Taylor Heineke cost them a minimum of 10 points because they would have kicked that field goal as a chip shot, right? That would have made it 17-12, 17-15. I don't even remember what the score was at the time.
At that point, it would have been 17-15 if they would have opted for the field goal.
Totally changed the game. That was just an unbelievable play. But the officials blew that for the Giants. So if we think, that the NFL is against us and there's a big conspiracy and the officials are being paid to keep Washington out of the playoffs because of Dan Snyder and they want Dan Snyder to sell or whatever conspiracy you're adhering to, it's not real, okay? The officials are professionals. They're very, very good at their job. They're the best in the world at what they do. They train hard. They make mistakes, okay? And they made a mistake on that play that cost the Giants 7 points as well on that particular play. And there were other plays, of course, that I thought that they were absolutely terrible against Washington. I thought the 2-point conversion for Dotson, as Chris Collinsworth said on the broadcast, the defensive back and the wide receiver come together at the line like that on pass plays every single play when a guy's playing press coverage. That's just what happens in a play. His route did not go blocking into the defensive back. He just simply went to the back and then broke off. And he didn't push him. He didn't smash into him. He ran a route and they met. So that was a bad call. Now, the Terry McLaurin one. Okay. The illegal formation. Terry McLaurin clearly said that the official told him that he was good. Terry McLaurin said that. Terry McLaurin isn't going to lie about something like that. That's not who Terry McLaurin is, and that's not a homer statement. We all know who Terry McLaurin is. Even people around the league know who he is. He's not going to lie about that. That official did not, I'm telling you right now, Nathan, that official did not tell Terry McLaurin he was good. He would not tell him that he was good and then throw a flag on him. It's impossible. He's a professional. Okay? There was a communication error. Maybe the official thought Terry said, am I off? Okay, meaning am I off the line? Okay? Because it's just impossible that official told Terry that he was good and still threw the flag. I'm sorry. There's no way. He's not. It's just not possible. Okay? I understand that sometimes there's gambling stuff involved, and we've got history. We've got the Tim Donaghy deal with the NBA and all that other stuff. I understand that sometimes there are rogue officials. That guy's not a rogue official. He shouldn't have called it. I can tell you that much. He should not have called it because Terry asked him, right? So he wasn't on the line, right? Terry is not trying to gain an advantage by being off the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what some people might do. Maybe he's got a fade route or anything, something like that. He's trying to make sure he's on the line. He's not trying to gain an advantage. And I think the official should have interpreted that Terry's not trying to gain the system here, right? He's not trying to pull one over on the official. He's trying to make sure that he's in the right spot. So I just want to make that clear about that official. Okay, Terry's not lying, but the official did not tell him he's good and then throw a flag on him.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed about it after watching it multiple times is Terry doesn't look back at the ref. Terry also didn't really move, by the way. Like he kind of like did a half shuffle. He like kind of maybe like a step, right?
Yeah.
But it was a little bit more of just okay, I'll lean forward a little bit.
Right.
And then he did wave his hand back out, but he was looking over at
his other shoulder.
He was looking over at Heineke and the play. So he was definitely listening for the ref to say, hey, you're good, or move up. And I agree there's a miscommunication in there.
It was a miscommunication.
And it's unfortunate. And I can see where people are coming from, especially when it comes down to the guy was ready to throw the flag. But that's
he was definitely ready, but he shouldn't have been.
No.
And he threw it right away. He didn't wait to see if Terry was running a fade or Terry doing something, running a pattern or whatever. He didn't wait. As soon as that play happened, he threw it. But yeah, he was absolutely ready to throw it. And if you've got an official or two on the other side of the field who at the end of the game on the 4th down play to Curtis Samuel, when the guy interfered with Curtis Samuel, and you want to say, let them play, don't let the officials, make calls at the end of the game, let them play it out. The same should have been said on the 3rd down play with Terry McLaurin. Let them play. He obviously was not. It's not like it was egregious. He was like 2 yards behind. He was trying to inch up.
And like you said, he was nowhere near the play.
Yeah.
He asked you if he was good.
Right.
And then maybe there's some, miscommunication, but that he's trying to make sure. And then, like I said, there's no advantage gained.
Right.
So just a killer penalty there.
Yeah. It was just brutal.
Unfortunate.
It was just
the no call on the pass interference.
Yeah, that was brutal.
I just can't I can't believe that wasn't called. I mean, you had 2 or 3 instances before the bear hug that you could have potentially have called
absolutely,
and thrown a flag, and just to have the game kind of end in that way, very frustrating as a fan. It became then the topic for national media. Everyone's bringing up, Washington kind of got screwed out of this game because that should have given them 4 more downs. I don't want to say that we were screwed out of the game, because even getting 4 more downs, you still have to score the touchdown. You still have to get the 2-point conversion, and then you're going to overtime.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
right.
So it's not like this was the game-winning touchdown that gets wiped off because of a penalty, but at least give Washington the chance. And we'll have to see what they come up with, and if we'll see that usually the NFL publishes some kind of like apology letter, like, the refs got this one wrong. Well, no duh.
Yeah.
So Metaphor here, I like this one. Metaphor says, I pray Terry was mic'd up for this game and we get the real audio. That would be something. I don't think you'd be able to hear the ref, but I also don't think it'd be something we'd get. I think the Shield's going to protect that one, and they're going to be like, no, we can't. You're not editing that. We'll keep that for our archives and make it what it is. Yeah, P4 America knows Washington got jobbed here. Like, really, I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Out of a win, though. They just got jabbed on that play.
Out of a chance. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's make that.
And clear. Yes, Doug, it is four downs from the 1 instead of the 6, which makes a difference. They just had B-Rob run it in, and
still got a timeout. So if you want to run the ball 1 or 2 or 3 times, you can. Everything's wide open. But look, we had a 1st and goal from the 3 or whatever it was against Tennessee and couldn't punch it in. Right, end up throwing an interception on 4th down. So it's not a guarantee that even if you get there, that you're going to get it in. Now, that was Wentz and whatever. Still, it's not a guarantee that you're going to. But, yeah, they should have been afforded the opportunity to do that. And the officials, they don't publicly get, reprimanded or whatever to where we see it. But they
no
do
noticeable
within
fines or something.
Yeah, they have their grading system.
I was about to say they have a grading system, because you have to get graded well enough to be on a playoff line, which is more money and more recognition and probably more points to some kind of bonus or something they get. I don't know their pay scale or how it works, but they do get more money, just like players get more money for playoff games. And they have to get graded well enough to be able to ref a Super Bowl game. So, so their job, it benefits them to get the calls right, because they get reviewed and everything. And the refs didn't get this one right for Washington. But as I said in the beginning, Washington held themselves back.
Yeah,
they are the reason why they didn't win this game. The refs are easy to blame. They're an easy target because they're not the ones wearing burgundy and gold, and that's the last play Washington got the run where they're seeing their wide receiver get mugged in the end zone, and they're seeing a flag being thrown for a guy who's nowhere near the action after checking it. So I get the frustration and the desire to blame the refs. They messed up, absolutely did. Terry needs to do a better job making sure that he's on the line. And, there's nothing Curtis Samuel can do better to try to, other than maybe catch that and hope that they still throw the flag in case you drop it. But Washington just needs to put more points on the board. That's going to be on Scott Turner, and they got to figure it out. And a lot of people, Stoner, I know you've been trying to jump in on here, but I'm going to ask you this. Is it time to move away from Taylor Heineke?
Maybe. Okay, that's not very fair response, and we'll get to that. But I did want to jump in with 2 quick things about the last thing we're talking about. Number 1, on our community page, we have a poll of who's to blame for that loss, and we have Heineke, the O-line, Scott Turner, or the refs. And the refs are by far winning that poll.
Oh yeah, that's emotion.
It's because they're an easy target, like you said. And then also somebody did the research. I believe Cody Shook, he's a producer for B. Mitch and Finley or Grant and Danny. Sorry, somebody on 106.7 The Fan. One of their producers did the research. And in Terry's career in college and the NFL, he's had over 3,600 plays that he's played, and he's had illegal formation called on him. This was the second time in over 3,600 plays that he's played since college. So he's not a dum-dum, okay? This is not him kind of not knowing the rule or not being in the right position. This was just a miscommunication with the referee. 3,600 plays. This was the second time he's been called for legal.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That is pretty crazy. To that poll, by the way, Heineke with 17%, Scott Turner at 17% as well. Looks like maybe trailing by just a few votes. I don't have quite the extensive breakdown on that one. O-line with 11%. Referees with a strong 55% there. 740 votes. So Smitty Jr., we always have to put blame on ourselves. But even with our mistakes, we should have won if the refs didn't throw the game. Unbelievable how that went down.
Sorry, I totally torpedoed your segue.
It's fine. I should have known better. I was going for my segue. Yeah. And I even mentioned, I was like, I know you're trying to jump in here, and I wasn't giving you an edgewise. Good conversation about the refs. Let's move on. The conversation has shifted, and you're hearing about it on Monday Night Football. Mm-hmm. You're hearing about it from the pressers today with Ron Rivera before then, that they're going to stick with Taylor Heineke. Mm-hmm. But now it seems like the door's at least open to a move.
Yeah.
Before, Ron was like, nope, we're going to pick a quarterback and we're going to stay with that quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think it's, to me anyways, it sounded like the door's open for a move, and we're going to see Taylor Heineke at least one more time here against the 49ers. But should we just go ahead and pull the trigger and move back to that 11 bus as Metaphor was talking about?
Well, are you asking me again? I always ask you to clarify. Are you asking me what they should do, or are you asking me what they are going to do? What I think
they're going to stay with Heineke.
Right.
We know that's going to be the plan, is to stay with Heineke. What do you think they should do?
I have been 100% behind the decisions to go with Taylor Heineke as long as this team keeps winning. And I always said, though, it's going to take probably 2 bad games in a row, and then they might pull the plug. And he's basically had 2 bad games in a row, a tie and a loss to a team you absolutely should beat. So I think believe it or not, I think that they should make the switch. With 3 games left, I think that they should make the switch back to Wentz right now before the San Francisco game. It's a shorter week. He doesn't need the time to kind of learn the offense and everything. Get him out there for 2 or 3 practices as the guy, get number 1 reps with his guys, and get him out there against San Francisco. They're not going to. However, Taylor Heineke has the shortest leash that he's had as a starting quarterback for Washington. You could see, if this team goes down 14-3 at halftime, just like they did this week against the Giants, and he does nothing in the first half. I was like 5 for 12 for 55 yards or something like that in the first half. You could see a change at halftime against San Francisco. If they're getting beat up pretty good, and you see their playoff numbers, their chances of making the playoffs go down at halftime or whatever, you could see a switch. I would not be surprised if you saw.
Do you think it's going to take that? Do you think that what if there's another sack fumble for a touchdown? Do you think that's enough to be like, okay, we're taking Heineke out and we're going to throw in Carson Wentz?
I mean,
or you make the switch at halftime?
Yeah, I mean, any of those are a possibility. Absolutely. But he's got a short leash, is about as short as you can get. Like, maybe it is one big negative play like that, and it's just going to be time to pull the plug because you just can't keep doing it. Everybody was on the Heineke bandwagon in terms of the team, the players, okay? That's because they were winning. However they were winning, okay? He was your guy. He was your quarterback. But if he's now causing you to lose which he did this game, he was a huge reason why they lost the game, then you have to start considering making those changes. And I think that's what they're gonna do once he starts throwing up all over himself in this game against San Francisco. Which, by the way, early tease here, he's not gonna do. He's not gonna throw up all over himself. Washington's winning this game on Saturday. I'm just telling you right now.
All right. I love the confidence, especially on this Misery Monday.
Yeah.
We're here on Day After Reckoning, covering the game the Washington played the day before. Washington loses 20-12 against the New York Giants at home, kind of tanked their playoff chances. Whether or not they move on from Taylor Heineke or not remains to be seen. We'll probably delve into that more in our 100th episode on Wednesday. So make sure you check us out on Wednesday. Now, I realize it's going to be hard to pick on some go-goes and no-goes here, Stoner, with this kind of loss.
No, I got them written down. I'm ready.
You got them ready, one for each, or are you going to try to sneak a couple in beforehand?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
All right. Well, let's get those go-goes in the chat right now.
All right.
Who is your go-go, Stoner?
I like to do this because it's like the obvious, right? Everybody knows this one is the go-go. And for sure, Jahan Dotson was the go-go. That just by that one catch alone was insane that he was able to get up there and get that catch. So that's the obvious one, so I'm not using that one. So I'm going to tell you who I'm not using, right?
Yeah. Thanks for that. You just make my list even smaller as we go along.
Tressway was great. He had
Beautiful.
2 inside the 5 that he dropped in. Were fantastic. Okay, but he's not my go-go. See, I found a loophole here. You know who's my go-go in this game?
Are you going to tell me who your go-go is or who you're not going to pick for your go-go?
No. Now I'm getting to my go-go. Oh, man, Dougford stole it. Danny Johnson was very, very good in this game. Okay, Danny Johnson was everywhere. He was breaking up passes. He's the one that actually caused the non-fumble on Daniel Jones because he was barely down. If you see the replay, Danny Johnson was great in this game. And we like to pick on Danny Johnson and what's the guy's Wild Goose, those 5th and 6th corners that you hope to never see out there. Danny Johnson had a great game. Let me just say that.
Yep. Special teams there. Caleb says Dotson great with 2B. B-Rob and Jahan are the biggest go-goes. Alcatone going with the guy who was on the sidelines the entire time, Sam Howell, as the go-go. Shout out. This is a go-go here. DJ23 with a $4.99 super chat donation. I get going to Wentz, but you want him behind this struggling O-line? Like I said, we're going to break this down a little bit more, and I do think that there's going to be some problems when it comes to Wentz. And it's going to go on Scott Turner to actually call plays that play to the strength. Don't do 7-step drops just because you have a guy back there with the cannon.
That's right.
Still give it to B-Rob. Still give it to Antonio Gibson. Let them do their thing, and then do a play action bomb to Terry or Curtis Samuel or Jahan Dotson or De'Ami Brown, who is looking pretty spry there as well. And that's my go-go this time. If you're going to take away the obvious ones, De'Ami Brown, I thought played very well he had that run. He seems to be kind of finding his way onto the field more. Maybe he's not getting the targets. He did have 2 targets, no catches. So really I'm basing this off of the one rush, 15 yards. But it's just that
it's a good one.
This is a guy that most of us were writing off, right? Jahan Dotson is him. You got Curtis Samuel as a gadget player. You got Terry McLaurin, who just paid big money to, who's going to be your wide receiver 1 for years to come. And a lot of people, after De'Ami Brown's failed rookie season, were putting him behind Cam Sims. We're putting him like, is he even going to make this team? So for him to dress and be on the field more, he eventually, I think, is going to find targets. You put in Carson Wentz, and I think that he's going to find De'Ami Brown, as he did not too long ago for those 2 big bomb touchdowns. And that's what I want out of my 5th wide receiver, right? Or my 4th wide receiver.
Yeah, you're
find the opportunities that are going to make you successful and on the field. That 15-yard run, Stoner, came out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely did.
He was
And
great. He was electric.
on the play that it was in the fourth quarter when the Giants were running a bunch of guys on and off the field, remember, and they ended up calling a timeout. That was a direct snap to Diami coming across the middle. Maybe it wasn't. That's how it ended up.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because the whistle was blowing, but as soon as he came across, he caught it. And so who knows what would have happened. But if you guys remember, before the game, you and Trev and the others, you guys went somewhere else, right, to find some free drinks, right? And I stayed there and I studied the pregame warmups. And when you guys came back, what did I say? You remember what I said to you?
You said De'Ami Brown
I said
is
2 words, and you guys looked at me. I said De'Ami Brown. I said he just looked explosive. I think I used the word spry, but I think he just looked explosive just in warmups. You know, who knows? It's a different level when you get out there on the field. But like you said, I think he's finding his way in this offense where he can be a valuable fourth guy that'll be gone as soon as his rookie contract's over.
Oh, sure.
But he's
De'Ami Brown,
spot.
kick returner if Antonio Gibson moves on.
Not bad. I don't hate it.
Maybe.
There's probably a reason he's not doing it, though.
Well, right now you have Antonio Gibson. Why would you? Antonio Gibson, strong option there for go as well, with the big return to start that last drive of Washington, and a pretty successful day there in the backfield. Biggie Steve for the $1.99 donation. We need refs in the booth to call plays like this. They got to figure out a way to just make the reviews quicker. It just takes too much time. And I saw earlier someone was like, they got to make the pass interference reviewable. They tried that for a season. It was just a disaster. The gameplay is already slowed down so much. You can't continue to have VAR if you're going to take like term you might have learned from the World Cup. But you can't just always go to the review booth. But I do think that they've got to figure out ways to make the speed up the game and make these calls the right calls. That includes going for a touchdown. Why if we go into a scrum, we can't tell where the football is? You can't tell me that technology has not, come to the point where we can tell where the football is on the field at any point.
Yeah.
So,
or first downs,
first downs,
with the 10 yards.
Got to bring out the chain every time.
Right.
There's definitely some ways they got to improve the game in that regard. And there's some of these players who need to improve their game on the field. Let's talk about the no-goes here, Stoner. What do you got there for a no-go? We got several in the chat already. A lot of people tearing up the offensive line. Charles Leno is being a target. Scott Turner. Roger, we knew that you were going to hate the fact that they moved away from the run. They were doing so well with the run, too. Scott Turner is probably the obvious one here. We definitely talked a lot about how this is not a game that he's going to want to come back to. But Stoner, who's your no-go for this game?
I was going to do Scott Turner, but again, that is an obvious one, right? So I'm not going to do Scott Turner. But you know what? What's going on with these evaluations of medical issues? Okay, Chase Young was designated for return 7 weeks ago, okay, which means you have 3 weeks to decide if he's going to be activated to the 53-man roster, okay? That was 7 weeks ago. 3 weeks after that, they decided, yes, we're going to activate him to the 53-man roster, okay? That was a month ago, and he hasn't played. Why did they go through the process of using a roster spot on Chase Young, although you're not going to activate him for a month now? It's 3 games, but it's a month that he's not playing. Why is Sam Cosmi, out there, not on IR or whatever, and he's activated and he's not playing, and you have a horrible offensive line, and he can't beat out your right tackle? He can't beat out your right guard, as some people want him to play guard. Okay? What's going on with these decisions that they're making with some of these injuries? I don't understand it. Okay? Sam Cosmi, if he's activated, has got to be better than those other guys. And if you're saying he's banged up, then he shouldn't be activated. He should be on IR and get somebody else in there, whether it's a punt returner, whether it's another kicker if people don't like Joey Sly, whether it's a whatever, another running back. Okay, I don't know what it is. What is going on with this whole decisions with these injured players? So that's my no-go. I don't know who that is specifically. I don't know if you just blame Ron and the front office staff and the what are the guys' names? They both have the same first name.
Marty and Marty.
The Martys, yeah.
They're Marty and Marty.
Yeah. So I don't know. So that's just, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah. So remember this happened last year with Curtis Samuel. They just dragged him out throughout the season.
Exactly.
And he was never healthy. And then you find out that there was more going on behind the scenes. I have a feeling we're going to find out there's more behind the scenes on this one. They keep telling us it's attitude. It's just, we're just waiting for that right mindset. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What? Are you telling us this third-year player doesn't have the right mindset?
Yeah,
to come into the game.
He's not over the injury.
Yeah, and then we hear that no, healthy wise, he's going to play this season. If eventually you have to show that he is going to play, we'll see. They're saying that he is. He might need to because this was another game where the pass rush just didn't get home. And they might need that kind. We had a lot of people in the no-goes here. We got Taylor, we got Scott, the refs, Jack Del Pico from Sean. The defense folded on big drives. The no-go for the tight ends. Nikki J had a great tweet earlier on the production of the tight ends this season. They've only been targeted 80 times. That's tied for 20th. 46 receptions, 28th. Red zone targets, only 8 all season long. Yeah. 27th, tied for, or 27th there. Red zone receptions 4 means that they've been targeted 8 times. They've only caught half of those.
Yeah.
Good for 26. And then only 1 touchdown, and that's good for 27th. And those numbers are down across the board from last season. And there's just something there. Maybe, I don't know if it's missing Armani Rogers. Logan Thomas is great with tubies, no go. You guys know that I've called him decidedly mediocre. I started relenting on that a little bit, but he's just not the guy. Like, you don't need the guy at tight end, but you need someone who's going to be productive. And we've seen a lot of good productive tight ends, and Logan Thomas was one of those. He had a good season, but he's just not, I don't think he's healthy, completely healthy coming back from the injury. And
he's like 32,
Bates is, and he's north of 30. Bates is a blocking tight end.
He is.
Cole Turner, we were raving about him in the offseason and hearing nothing but great things, but he's a 5th round rookie, and he's just not showing it up on the field as well. Yeah, so I understand the hate for the tight ends on that one.
I think the Armani Rogers deal, I mean, he was really blossoming in this role, and then he's out for the year. And even Curtis Hodges, when he started off the year on the active roster. So, yeah, man, I just the tight end room was supposed to be a strength of this team, and it's turned out to be now.
Yeah, we thought we were deep.
Draft pick.
We thought we were deep with Logan Thomas, Bates. You had Armani Rogers, Cole Turner. We're like, oh, this is going to be a good one. You still have Hodges, I think, on the practice squad, or did he? I think he might have been an injury designation. But.
Yeah, he got hurt at the beginning of the year. But you're not drafting a tight end this year. You're basically drafting Armani Rogers as your tight end for next year, as long as he gets healthy.
Yeah, hope that he comes back and develop Cole Turner
and John Bates. You don't draft a tight end in the what was Bates 4th round?
I think he was the 4th round.
4th round 1 year, then draft a tight end the 5th round the next year, and then turn around and draft a tight end in the 2nd round, which is what these big tight ends are going to go. Right?
I'm in the 1st.
Yeah,
you're not going to. They make it the playoffs, and you're like drafting a 18. You're not going to take them.
No, you're not drafting not when you've got those guys again that you've used draft capital on, and you've seen the undrafted free agent like Armani Rogers turn into not a star, but turn into a productive player before he got hurt. And even like I said, Curtis Hodges, another undrafted player, was just fine there. So you're not drafting a tight end this year. I promise you that.
Yeah,
Not
metaphor. Taylor overthrowing every tight end despite their height. Like
Yeah,
we got a lot of
definitely
tall guys up there, and he's still out throwing them. Biggie
Yep.
Steve with my actual no go here, and that's Ron Rivera is a no go for punting on our side of the field. So it was actually the Giants side of the field is the in reference here. So you punted at the Giants 34-yard line.
Yep. And then
That
they
was the
returned it
decision
back
they
to the
made.
24
Mhm.
or 23, I think, which was like
Yeah,
an
net
11
10
yard.
net of 10 or 11 yards
Yeah.
off of that decision.
And I still don't get it because we watched them in warmups. We watched Sly and Gano kick in warmups. And we said, all right, he was hitting them from like 58, but 60, he was a little short. So we were like,
that was also the wind at his back.
Okay, guess what? We were there, okay, and me and who's sitting next to me? Remind me, who's sitting right to my left?
You had Julie you had Rob.
Rob, okay, that's a hard name to remember, so pardon me for forgetting that.
Just remember, Washington was robbed of their chance to win this game.
Rob and I were sitting there after that decision, studying the little flags on top of the uprights.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't moving.
They're not moving.
It's not like it was like gusts or like a little bit of wind here and there. They weren't moving. So this whole idea that it was windy, and if you want to say it was windy down at their level, okay, but up there where the ball's going, it's not windy. You can't kick a 51-yarder in those conditions?
Yeah, there might have been the occasional gust that
and by the way, Graham Gano
away.
Kicked one in that direction 51 yards. Okay, and it was in the second half. It was maybe an hour later or whatever. There was no wind. I don't get that decision. So good call.
Yeah, it was a bad one. We did get a stat correction from the great Watubia and Metaphor. It was returned to the 30, so it was a
net
4-yard net on that punt. That decision
just go for it. If that's
crazy. He did miss the extra point though. That came after this came after this decision.
Yeah, and it wasn't short.
It wasn't until later.
It wasn't short. It was wide right, and it was plenty of leg. By the way, it was that was probably good.
If there's one thing Joey Sly is not missing, it's some leg power. That guy looks like a horse out there with those legs. Yeah, no one says linebackers, middle of the field was always open. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is not the first time we've watched this defense just get eaten alive in the middle. Just again with that slight delay, they just spread them out and then have a wide open field. We got to do something to make that make that a difference. Roger Smith, this team is full of talent and needs a new staff, especially on offense. Just think what a coach that knows what he's doing can take this team. That's something we're going to have to be hopeful for, and we're going to have that conversation
in 3 weeks
on Wednesday. Yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah, that's fair. That's an off season.
Yeah,
that's an off season question. I'm going to let you guys know right now. We're not going to see new head coach. We might see a new coordinator or two, but we're not going to see. I don't think we're going to see a new head coach. We'll talk about it later. Washington needs, this is from TJ, too nasty for you. Washington needs to control the opposing fans from taking over our stadium. Heard loud defense chants from the Giants fans. It was really ugly walking down the ramp because I wasn't waiting for the elevator on the way. On the way down.
Same.
It was ugly listening to the Giants chants going down. Now there was at least one that I did not participate in it because I came in late, but it was very loud and it had a lot of people involved, and that was F. Dan Snyder.
Right.
But outside of that, it was all Giants fans doing that. And I was surprised to see how much blue was in the stadium, in this regard, because I thought we were going to take it over. I thought it was going to be FedEx, like it was RFK back in the day.
No, you knew better than that. Come on, that was
okay. That's wishful thinking. That was wishful thinking on my part.
But let's not get carried away with that narrative. Again, that narrative is way overblown. We were there, okay, so we can give you a firsthand account. All right, it was loud for Washington.
Our Washington fans were showing up when they had something to cheer for.
Yes.
The team just did not provide us a lot of things to cheer for.
And yes, there were a lot of Giants fans. Okay, that's going to happen. We know that. But the fans did show up. I would say, and I don't know what the official attendance is being listed at, but I would say it was probably 85% full. Okay, not 85% tickets sold. I mean, my eyeballs looking at all the seats. It was full. And I took a video of it and I posted it on our account on Twitter that it was loud and it was a big crowd. Now, on the Giants side, they had that was their side. Okay, they had that full. Okay, but I would say it was probably 70% Washington fans. That's the percentage that I would give it. I would give 30. And look, 30% visiting fans can be loud because, hello, the home fans are not happy and they're going to be quiet. But I would say 70% Washington fans. But still,
I might go to 60-40 Washington fans.
Yeah, that's your percentage.
There was a lot of blue, and later in the game, I started to see the blue that was on the home side. I'm used to it being more of like a college, FedEx being kind of like a college, neutral site where you kind of have half is the one team, the other half is the home, our side, Washington. But maybe 60-40 is rough. Maybe I'll go 65-35. There was a non-zero number of Giants fans there, and they made themselves known as they always do.
Well, it's just like when
Washington just has to do their job.
When Washington fans travel to Atlanta, and if you remember last year when they're in Vegas and all these, they're loud. That's because they are dedicated fans who are traveling to games, who are tailgating, who are paying tickets, who are staying in hotels overnight. They're not going to do that and then just come to the game and sit back in the bar and hang out with their friends. No, they're there to support their team and be very loud about it. Okay, so that's how it is with visiting teams, and especially when their team is winning. But it's shown on ESPN that there were 62,000 there.
Yeah, it was 92% is the official breakdown. 61,917 in attendance with a forced capacity of 67,617. So,
it was
the stadium, and EP mentioned this a couple times, and to some other people as well. It was the most full we've seen the stadium in a long time.
Absolutely.
Even the 400 level was filled, up with people. And I mean, they asked us to come out to the game. They wanted us to be there. They knew how important this game was. And they just didn't hit pay dirt, Stoner. They just didn't come. They didn't. They absolutely didn't. And it was frustrating. This is a game that I thought Washington was going to take control of their destiny and show national media and fans they were here to stay. I made predictions that were bold, Stoner, and those predictions didn't come true, did they? This is time to pay up here for our dollar, our game predictions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 dollar predictions we had. Only one of them was the person making the prediction was correct. All the others were those betting against that person were actually correct. So
oofa-doofa.
So that's where you're going to want to stay out of actually making the bets. You just want to.
Normally, I'm pretty good about goading you guys into making the bets and then kind of jumping in there. But how'd I do this time?
All right. Nathan said Terry McLaurin would be over 85 yards. I believe he had 82 or something.
He was very close.
He was really close.
70 yards.
It's only 70? Or for some reason I thought it was closer than that. Only Trev went against you. I abstained out of that one.
So it's a point for Trev, right? Is what we're saying.
Yes.
Yep.
And -1 for you. All right. Stoner said that Curtis Samuel would have 110.
That did not happen.
Nathan and Trev got that one.
Why do you think that those runs weren't successful for him and De'Ami Brown got the one big run? Was it just because they were not expecting De'Ami Brown to get the ball? Is Curtis Samuel just being overworked? He did have the 5 touches this time on the ground. He had 5 targets, so kind of consistent there. And even in the pass game, 3 catches for 44 yards. What he ended up with.
I don't know. It was all of his runs seemed to be inside runs instead of like Diami's was a jet sweep. Right?
Yeah, stretching them out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I screwed this one up. So whatever I said about 11 and all that, and forget that because I don't know what I'm doing. I think it was at nighttime when I got home from the game. I did these. Trev said that Jahan would have an anytime touchdown, and you and I both said not happening. Well, he did. So Trev got that one.
And it was a beauty. It was a beauty.
And what was it? It was a 3-step drop, get the ball out on a slant, a deep slant, but still, or a middle slant at least. Stoner said that Heineke would have 0 passing touchdowns, but he did have the one. So Trev and Nathan got that one. Stoner said that Heineke would have a rushing touchdown, and he did not have that. So Trev and Nathan got that one. He should have if he hadn't tripped over his own dumb foot or the 3-yard line or whatever that was.
Let me talk about that one real quick. I try to use these as game predictions and kind of talking about the game a little bit more here. Jahan Dotson pass, by the way, was 19 yards. It doesn't give me exactly what they ran there, but it was also from Jahan Dotson. It
was also halfway in the end zone, so you got to add like another 5 yards there.
Sure. It was a Taylor Heineke deep ball. Taylor Heineke, like 2 things actually. If we're gonna praise Jahan Dotson, let's take a moment to knock him down a peg here. Jahan Dotson on that Taylor Heineke run has to get in front of the defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't. And if he does, maybe that makes a difference. But then Taylor Heineke, I don't get why he was going to the outside. He literally takes 1 step in and he falls forward and it's a touchdown.
Right.
But instead, he crunches down and aims not even really for the pylon because he was kind of going out before he was near the pylon. He ended up backing into the pylon.
Yeah.
But if he just takes a step to the left,
you're right.
He's in the end zone.
You're right. I didn't get that either. I don't know what he was doing there. And by the time he tried to do that, that's when he stumbled over himself and it was too late. Let's see.
Elian, yes, JD McKissick is on IR. We'll see if he returns next season. He could be a cut casualty depending on how they like the running back team, but he's getting up there in age, so you never know.
It's 2 straight years he's ended up on a season ending
with a neck injury too. That's something you don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to play around with that. So he might just choose to retire. We'll talk about that in the offseason.
Trev said that Heineke would have 1 interception and 1 fumble, but he did not have an interception. So you and I got that one.
His parlay did not hit, huh?
So, nope. Stoner and Nathan said that Gibson would have a return past the 35-yard line, and he did. He got out to the 43. He also had one where he got out to the 31, I believe. He had 2 nice returns.
He had a couple good returns there. That return, I really felt at that point in the game, and Stoner maybe had the same feeling I did, but after that return, I was like, we're going to win this.
Oh, yeah. I thought we were going to win the whole game, even down 14-3, because I thought we played better than they did, except for that horrible turnover. That's the only thing that this team really did wrong in that first half. It should have been 7-3, and we were moving the ball up and down the field on them. Yeah, I felt that way the whole game. But you're right, especially after that return.
Mm-hmm. And then you had the big pass play to Curtis Samuel. I mean, it should have been touchdown, but it was still a big pass play.
So many should have been touchdowns. Should have, would have.
Should have, would have, could have.
B-Rob touchdown that should have been because Terry was not on the line, whatever.
And he was way over. From our seats, it was kind of hard to tell because the pile kind of gets stood up. But watching the replays, he was a good 1.5 foot inside the end zone there.
Stoner and Trev said that Daniel Jones would have 2 turnovers. He didn't have any. So Nathan got that one. Trev said that Washington would have 7 sacks. Stoner and Nathan said no. I think you were willing to go with 5, but Trev wanted to jump to 7.
0.
But that was great game planning again by their offensive coordinator. They never gave Washington a chance to do anything.
And we've seen this. So I've talked a lot about that running in the open middle there, but we've seen that our pass rush neutralized this way before.
Yeah.
They just get, teams know they have to get the ball out quick and just try to, all you need to do is beat one or two guys and maybe you can get a few yards.
Mm-hmm.
And Washington's known their DBs play off the ball. So those 4-yard passes are going to be open.
Mm-hmm.
You might risk the occasional Kendall Fuller, whose name we didn't even hear.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing.
Which is a good thing.
Right.
And I think they just weren't going to throw it his way because if they're going to throw these, 4-yard, hitches, they know Kendall Fuller's going to jump that.
Yeah.
And they're going to be down 6 points in a hurry.
Right.
So they just didn't go towards him, but they could go towards the opposite side. Benjamin St. Juste needs to get healthy and back on this field.
Yeah. I thought he was going to be playing this week, but yeah, we thought that.
TJ, that's interesting. Use the Wildcat with Gibson, Robinson, or Samuel. I love it when we have Gibson and Curtis Samuel, or Robinson and Curtis Samuel, or Robinson and Gibson. I think we've seen maybe once or twice.
We saw Armani Rogers back there.
Armani Rogers. Yeah. Well, I'm not talking about necessarily as a QB. I'm just saying have them flank so you have a couple different options for the RPO sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, because both of those, you don't have to hand it off to either one of them. You fake the handoff, you close in, and then you can dump it. And even if you extend the play a little bit, both of them are just absolute weapons out of the backfield. Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson specifically, although we have seen Brian Robinson's pass. I got it right there. For our audio listeners, there's sometimes some really kinky comments in the section. If they would like the video, I wouldn't mind it so much, but I think they leave before hitting the like button.
That's right. Which
make sure you don't do that. Okay. Make sure you hit that like button for us. All right, let's get back to these dollar bets that we made and
all right.
Wish that we didn't. Actually, I'm having an amazing day so far.
Are you really?
I thought I was going to have a horrible one.
Here's another one for you. Trevin Stoner said that Saquon would have 90 plus rushing. And I think that was the one that he was like 87 or something like that.
Yeah, he was right there. He was at 87 yards.
Yeah. So Nathan got that one. And I'm a little wishy-washy on how this one went, but I'm pretty sure I got this right. Stoner said that from the kickoff that they would mention the Daniel Snyder sale. Right? I'm the one that said that they would, right?
You said from. I said it once it's kicked off, it's all game.
Yeah, no, they did at the end of the third quarter, and when they came back from commercial in the fourth quarter, yeah, they talked about it.
Okay, so I will take your word for
Stoner
it.
Trust me. I mean, they did almost a minute on it.
Yeah,
like talking about the sale and the Bank of America,
right?
What's that?
Trev went with you on that.
I don't have him written here, but
I'm going to give it to him. I'm pretty sure that he went with you on that one. I was the only one who was just like, no, from kickoff, he's not going to. Yeah, I just didn't think that was going to happen. I thought the game was going to be good. And I thought that Washington was going to put this one away early and it was going to be big and exciting. And we were going to have a great end to our season. And that's just not what happened, Stoner.
Yeah.
But this was a pretty good day for me.
We have two more.
We have two more?
Yeah, we have two in-gamers, if you remember.
That's right, yeah.
We had one where you guys both said that Washington was going to score a touchdown on their first drive. Yeah. Stoner went against that, and Stoner took that. And then the second one, I can't remember what it was. I just remember winning. I don't remember what it was. It was an in-game thing. Maybe it was second half. Or it was a certain drive. I don't know.
It's like a 3 and out or something like that.
I don't know.
I'll give it to you.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Because we had the other one where I said Sly was going to miss the extra point, and you said he's not going to miss it, but we never consummated. We never said.
Oh, okay. Sure. Notice this, everybody. He's not gonna give us the one that that
I said. You know what I said? I said, Trev said, he's going to miss this, isn't he? I said, he's definitely missing it. And then Nathan says, dollar, he makes it. Or, yeah, dollar, he's not missing it. But nobody said anything. So it's not consummated.
I feel like that
doesn't count. That's what I'm saying. Doesn't count.
Metaphor is at least backing you on the montage there. So you got that going for you.
All right. So that's that there. I don't think I did particularly well this week.
You did not do particularly well this week, but it's okay. Trev was at -1. Let's see here. You've got that one, and that one, and you broke even, I think. 1, 2,
not
3,
bad.
4, 5, 6 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Trev was at -1. I was at +3. So
nice.
Not too bad. The game kind of flowed how I thought it was going to. Not quite the result we needed or wanted. But hey, that's
how it rolls.
That's what we got to do. So I tell you what, we've got a lot of great questions here. How do we win scoring just 12 points? Hey, we've got to change that. You cannot do it. And it's going to be an even tougher matchup next week against this Saturday against the 49ers. We will not be streaming that one for play-by-play on Christmas Eve. So enjoy your time. And we'll hopefully have some good things to say on the day after reckoning, which will still be on the 26th, Stoner.
Yep.
Excellent.
Still gonna happen.
You can catch us there. You can catch us.
It won't
this
be on Christmas
Wednesday.
Day.
It's not going to be Christmas
which is
Day.
The actual day after, but it'll be on Monday.
Christmas Eve, Christmas. We're gonna be with our families, and then day after reckoning, Stoner will be back for that one. I am going to be traveling, so I'm not going to be here Wednesday. But Stoner and Trev are holding down the fort. They will be bringing you the content that you need, that you want for the 49ers game. Just make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and catch us on Wednesday at 7:30 live right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And until next time,
we beat the Niners.
Be a fan.